Right. Welcome to Red Mountain. Let's go look at some grapes. Big old clusters. Bit of sugars on the outsides. Oh, a little spider web. much insects though. That's nice. I believe they've had some mealybugs in this vineyard before. I've seen a ton today. Probably some aphid issues, but pretty minimal. And you can see at times they get a little thinner when you get to the top of the hill here. Thicker on the, or more vigorous on the slope. Oh. Some type of box. Throw that away for them. Just a gorgeous day up here. I was worried about, we got a lot of wildfires and smoke in the area. I'm glad Red Mountain's relatively clear of smoke today. Yeah, cleanest air I've smelled in a few days. Walla Walla's that way-ish. Oregon's that way. A lot of smoke coming out of there. Quite a few fires down there. We had one just south of town in Walla Walla. You can see here to the east, or west, excuse me. A little clear. Blue skies today. That's all very good for us at this site. Well, maybe we won't take that only leaf protecting that guy. Let's take one from over here. Kind of hold it up to the light like this. You can see if there's any insects on there a little easier with the light behind it. The damage is pretty minimal, other than a lot of these external sugars, which means probably aphids. Not uncommon for this vineyard. So it's relatively consistent canopy, but you can see just little differences. Oh, a little bit of veraison. Look at that. That's where we call the color change in grapes. Veraison. Versions. Some of the earliest I've seen up here so far. We'll get into some other varietal, mostly cab today, but see if the other varietals are further along. It's a good time of year to check that sort of thing. Might help you later on when you're thinking about when to harvest. Got the irrigation on, we can see. Always good to check. Not the And so yeah, kind of as the vineyard does this, you get these kind of lower, lighter canopy areas, then heavier ones. They do a really good job here though at leaf thinning, getting everything exposed. But you'll see on this side, not exposed. It's because this is the west sides of the vines here. We want to protect them with more shade from that afternoon sun, while opening this side in order to get more sun, and thus even out that kind of morning and evening sun cycles. Interesting. We're seeing a lot more variation here. I feel like I didn't hardly notice anything 2 rows over. Maybe a bit less down here where the vines are more vigorous. Take another little leaf sample here. Yeah. No insects today. Yeah. You can see the sugar on the outside there. That's from insect damage. They come along and eat the sugar and kind of, well, poop out the sugar. Creates kind of like a symbiosis. Other things eat the sugars and leave them alone. But still pretty light, all things considered. Not too stressed. And then again, they do a really good job here, so it wouldn't surprise me if they just chose not to harvest portions where things get a little out of hand. Nice, healthy, scraggly branches. Cordon here, cane here. I guess trunk cordon. I got it wrong. Trunk here, cordon here, canes here. That could be viral damage. Can also be a number of things. It's hard to tell what this type of reddening exactly means, especially early on. It could just be damage. But virus is also not uncommon to Red Mountain. You see more of that in fall. Alright. I think our Cab Franc's just across the street here. I believe we're kind of in between these two. Yeah, actually we might be further down. Forgotten the exact row. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think we're about right here. When we're sampling the vineyard, we don't necessarily need to be on the exact row, simply because we're trying to get a picture of the vineyard more than anything. Good to do a couple of passes at least. Larger vineyards can sometimes wind up doing a dozen passes. Lay of the land. This will be our Cab Franc here. No veraison, I'm not seeing any at least. Let's see how peppery it is. Green, but not peppery just yet. fingies. So. Yeah. Healthy vines. We'll make some good wine out of this. Getting beat up. And you notice a bit more bigger sort of as you go down the slope. Typically you get a little deeper soil, a little more bigger, a little bit higher canes. I like that they don't hedge here. I'm not a big hedger. These tips to me are really important. Help regulate the hormones within the vines. But other people have different ideas. You can control the growth depending on where you make your cuts and kind of how you use your trellis system. These are pretty typical, I would say, spacings. High density planting is usually where you see more hedging. And this spills right out onto Antinori Road here. Kind of the, oh no, this is just the highway. Antinori Road's up here. Well, let's just go ahead and walk all the way down here. So I'm pretty sure we're there. Well, we're either there or up here, but again, just nice to get a kind of a vision of the vineyard. We may be closer down this way. I'll have to get the row numbers on another day. Oh shit! I didn't know they had signs up for us. Well, that's way too cool. Well, this is us. These are gonna be our Cab Franc right here. And we're still using it as a blender. I'd like to do a dedicated Cab Franc out of this vineyard one day. It produces really nice. Last year harvested it maybe a bit later than I should have. Came in very, very clean, which is good. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it tasted more like Cab Sauv than Cab Franc, which is kind of fun, really. But this year we'll try and catch just a little bit of that pepperiness Cab Franc is so famous for. Here we can see more of that sugar damage, little spider webs. Some healthy clusters though, you know. Oh, you're getting attacked by a errant cane there. Pretty healthy looking clusters though, beyond the just a little bit of that. My hand's getting sticky. Cool. No bugs, just sugar. So again, kind of typical. It can be a number of things making these spots on the leaves. It's hard to tell this time of year without proper testing. It might be insect, but it might be virus too. I think we'll come back out. It's real easy to see virus when you're out here in the fall. Just to see the leaves curl and spotting and stuff. It's pretty common in anywhere they grow grapes, really. A little bit of damage. So that could be sun damage or machine damage. My guess would be sun. That's too bad. This side's looking good. See, that's why we want some leaf cover over here. Help protect from that. But a little early in the leafy season, nothing to stress about. Just worth noting. Yeah, there's some good damage. Crispy, crispy. And then you'll see too often as you get to the end row vines, they get more vigorous. They typically won't even harvest all this. This is just a water sink for the rest of the vineyard. But you do get some pretty impressive clusters. sorry about that. This one is a pretty big block. We'll try and read the signs. I don't know if they'll have us up yet or not. Well, hard to read that one. Well, this should be the right block. We can read it off this sign here too. Yeah, that's block 23. So this will be block 21. Hey, there I am. I look like a dork in this thing. So, kind of fun to see who else is by you. First yellow sign is blank. Okay. I think we're still further down. Still just fun to look. Yeah, I'm not seeing anybody's names. And unfortunately, we're not labeled over here. We'll walk this row though, because I think we're pretty close to this break. And it doesn't look like turtle, but I can't read it. That might be us. Tutti sellers. Well, let's pretend it's ours. I think we're pretty close to this access road here. Again, very little in the way of insects so far today, other than just the damage that we've seen from them. So they were undoubtedly around, but I know they've been fighting them. We got some interesting techniques now, very like non-invasive techniques they try to use. Yeah, see all that all that sugar. Just a part of the vineyard process, really. They gotta fight it. One way they do that is, well, difficult to describe. They basically cock block the insects. So they have these like pheromone pads the insects will land on. Basically make them sterile so they don't repopulate. All in all, a pretty low invasive technique compared to, you know, just poisoning them. I think most people will be surprised to find that the industry is pretty receptive to changes like that. If there's a better way, people want to hear about it. Farmers are not lazy. Yeah, a lot of sugar over here. Well, I should say a lot, just more. Seen way worse. More veraison though over here. So again, it's just kind of a good thing to note. You see veraison in one vineyard, you could think maybe, well, might be a little ahead than the other vineyard. So when it comes time to making that pick decision, you have a little extra piece of information to go off of. Maybe we'll pick here first and there second. Now, I can't say that for sure. A lot of things can still happen in between now and our actual harvest date, but kind of just add these little facts as you go, and they help you make decisions. You know? I was expecting a bit of uneven bud break at the beginning of this year. Such a mild winter. It's not as crazy as I thought it might be, but you know, you still see vines. You'll see some vines with low vigor and vines with more vigor. And that does breed a little inconsistency, but just something you have to work around. Hope the audio quality on this is even usable. Otherwise, you'll be hearing a creepy voiceover from time to time. I did buy a lavalier mic, but I haven't figured out how to use it. Burke Grum. Okay, so this is not us. That's fair. Why don't we just walk down a little? I think we may. I don't think we're too far this way. I thought we were actually a little that way. Another pair of signs. Let's go look. They keep all these records at the office, obviously. I mean, I'm sure that's not us. I don't know what it says. That's just fine. All right. Yeah, can't really tell. Well, we got one past the road, so let's hike back up here and look at the vines directly across from block 23. Again, just getting a little snapshot of the vineyard here. I'll find out exactly where we are later. And, then I'll know, because I've seen both sides. There's the truck. Block 23 starts, and while these definitely aren't our vines, well, they could be. Looks like War goes that way. Let's see, I don't have any info on this, so this could really be us here. Let's take a look. Ooh, already liking it a little better this way. So I hope I'm right. Yeah, so we got more veraison. Of course, more sugars. Can't do much about that. We'll get a good testing of the grapes as we go along here, and that'll let us know how they're developing too. See, these guys have already lost their tip tendrils. So earlier we were looking at the tips. They had tendrils on them. As you get more into maturity, they sort of burn off. See that? Oh, it fell off. Yeah, here we go. So these are the tendrils, the end tendrils, really. They go all the way up. And here's a good example. And they kind of just die off, fall off once you get into maturity. And maturities really are fruit development time. A lot of what we do out here in the vineyard is just about pushing vines towards maturity, pushing them into fruit development as opposed to canopy development. So see, this may be like too thin, and I'll show you too thick down here later, but this is healthy. A little thin, you see, more healthy. So a little unevenness this year. Again, it's all just information. You just kind of note these things as we go. You just keep thinking about them. When we get into harvest mode, we'll have better understanding to make decisions with. One of the interesting things about vineyards, we really want older vines. Older, scragglier vines, mature vines tend to make better wines. But that comes with problems, you know. More susceptible to pests and insects, more susceptible to disease. Virus slowly takes over the vineyard over time. And you either have to cull those plants or replant your whole vineyard at a certain point. It's very rare that anything's perfect. I mean, that's probably just true of life, but that doesn't mean things don't just work out anyways, you know. Yeah, sometimes things just happen for you in a nice way. Sometimes they don't. That's fine. Just trying to capture that moment. Hope for the best. All right. That's all we're going to be able to get to today. Got to go open the tasting room now. Come back. We'll check out the Merlot next, the Petit Verdot, and the Malbec. They're way over there. So, just don't have the time for it today. Get ourselves a splash of water here again. Always good to have some, you know, working water. We also used to carry wet wipes a lot. You never know when they've done agricultural work out here. So vines could have, you know, we don't use crazy chemicals, but sulfur, I would say, is the most common. You'll see, helps with fungus. Been used since the time of the Romans, so good couple thousand years of use now. Generally recognized as safe, I suppose. But that's about the biggest worry. And honestly, I've probably had a couple of sulfury sandwiches in my life. So, nothing to worry about. Yeah, let's drive out of the vineyard. One last little look at Red Mountain before we head on back to Walla Walla and open up the tasting room. Let's see, 10:30. Wow, it's gonna be close. Best not mess around. I'll take you up around the other side of Red Mountain here. Actually, let's just go out the same way we came in. No reason to tear up the roads either. if you're ever driving in the vineyard, the speed limit on these gravel roads, they usually ask you to go 10 miles per hour. The dust. So we were looking at the sugary stuff and aphids. The dust from the roads can contribute to that even further. So you can get even more insect issues from road dust. And so on these roads, I like to go 10 miles per hour. If you're ever, and you shouldn't, but if you're ever on like a access road, like a, I forget what you call them, but a secondary kind of access road, it'll be real fine powder. And on those roads, they want you to go 5 miles per hour. So it's not uncommon to see a big old rig running through the vineyard, just crawling. Painfully slow. But you know, it helps the vines, and it's just a few extra seconds out of your day. Good way to tell too, you look in the rear view, you know, we've got a little dust coming up, but can't prevent all of it. If I really punch it, you'll see the dust cloud we could definitely put out, but we're not going to do that today. Big part of the reason I came up here today was just to check on the smoke levels. Like I said, we've had a lot of smoke down in Walla Walla area. Of course, we're right next to the fires, so it's to be expected, but come up here just to kind of check that out more than anything today. Disappointed we don't have enough time to look at all the grapes, but it's just a part of life. We'll definitely be back, and I'll take you all the way up and around Red Mountain here to the far west side. We'll see what the grapes look like over there next time. So hope you had fun hanging out with me in the vineyard today. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.